terms of directing, same thing. Is there a certain formula that you advise your directors, or it varies every time?
Formula for directing?
You know, hey, there's a Jungian theory, there's Freudian, there's all these different things. So everyone has their own take on things.
I don't know, but now you got me thinking about it. Maybe there is. There is, in a way, I mean, in one of my books, I have what's called the 9 basic steps. And I think probably within that there is sort of a formula. The 9 basic steps are 9 questions. The first question, which we talked about earlier, is what is the story really all about? And the first 4, 5, 6 questions all have to do with the script. Do you understand the script? Do you understand the story? Do you understand the characters? And this is all leading up to directing. So my formula, you know, or approach is like, you got to understand script and story so deeply. This is long before you, and understand characters deeply, this is long before you start working with actors. Because too many directors will read a script and say, okay, let's get some actors in here, start working. And they not only don't understand the script and the characters, they haven't really sat down and done the work they need to do on the script to understand how it works, or the need, getting back to the collaboration that they should do, the work they should do with the writer. In other words, going back to the writer and asking the writer, I think one of the most important questions you can ask a writer. You read the script. Who was it? It was, I think it was Harold Clurman said, you know, always start out with praise. Great script, great story. You know, just keep everybody happy and start with enthusiasm. That's what he said. But to ask the writer, okay, what compelled you to write this? Which very few directors ask. Directors will come in with a script and say, okay, here's a problem, we got an act, you know, and they start attacking the script. I say, don't attack the script. Talk about the story. In fact, don't even talk about the story. Talk about the impulse for the story. And sometimes when you, I mean, I had a script that I was working on that I was going to direct, which was a really harsh, brutal script about tough love and deaths and killing. And I said to the writer, what compelled you to write this? He says, well, I read about a case about a young man who was accused of killing a woman. And he said, well, I didn't murder her. It was tough love. It was out of love that she died. And he was convicted of murdering her because actually he did kill her. But the writer said, how could that happen? How could a young man get to the point in a relationship that thinks that in a moment of passion and love and his partner dies that he didn't really kill her? And he wrote a script exploring that question. I went, wow, that's great. Now, and it was a great script. But then at that point I said, okay, now I understand where the writer's coming from. So in terms of a formula, get back to the script, get back to the story, get back to the writer, and understand where they're coming from. Then move deeper into it. So by the time you're bringing in the actors, now you understand the material really well, and nothing we could talk about, and the writer's still there. That's the other thing we can talk about. But my sort of formula says, one of the last things you do in making this film is bring out a camera. I have these 9 steps. The first 7, we haven't even talked about cameras yet. And they said, well, I'm a filmmaker. I said, I know. But unless you understand the story, understand the script, you know how to work with actors, you know how to create performances, authentic performances, you know how to stage a scene, you know how to get a scene up on its feet in a 3-dimensional environment, not on stage, in a room or whatever, and make it work authentically, maybe then you can start thinking about a camera. So that these 9 steps take you on a sequence through it to keep you honest and to keep you focused on the story, not on filmmaking. And this is a problem with a lot of film schools where I teach all over the world, is the first thing they do is they give them cameras. I say, don't give them a camera. And when I teach, like in Munich, I teach a film school in Munich, and I go in and I said, okay, the first thing we're going to do is, do you know how to tell a story? And they all have their little scripts. I have a script. I said, yeah, tell me a story. Just tell me a story. Can you even tell a joke? If you can tell a joke well, we're off to a good start. And I can say, are you a storyteller? You're going to be a filmmaker, you should be a storyteller. So it's all about what comes first. And again, it's sort of like we were talking about, you know, the passion for filmmaking, and I want to make films, and I want to be a star, and I want to meet all these famous people. You know, that's the wrong reason to make films. Another wrong reason to make films is I want to play with cameras and I want to do editing. fact, cameras and editing, all the technology stuff is just tools that we use in a delivery system. If the event we've created, the scene or this whole story, is not interesting, then it's not worth filming. So all of that has to come first. So I do have sort of a sequence. It's not really a formula, it's more of a sequence.